Welcome to Fit Talk with Coach Luis. If you're serious about getting fit, then this is your show. This is a podcast where fitness enthusiasts share all the ups and downs, the challenges, and the victories on their fitness journey. Now, here's your host, Coach Luis.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Fit Talk with Coach Luis. And today I'm really excited because I haven't had a lot of guys come on the show and talk with me. So I'm really, really happy to be talking with Bryan Parady. Super nice guy. He's out in Georgia, and he's actually a former hopeless skinny guy that could not put on muscle. That's kind of his whole entire story that we're going to talk about today. So thank you so much, Bryan, for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. And it's funny because we're the complete opposite. I was very overweight and couldn't get to what I wanted to get to, and then so you're really skinny. But the struggles and the adversity is kind of the same because we're still struggling with stuff. So
really
tell me,
is.
So tell me a little bit about, give me a little background. How this kind of all started and where were you at in the past and all that.
Sure. So back in the day, I weighed 118 pounds. I was tiny, like absolutely tiny. I got picked on, made fun of a lot as a kid because of how small I was. And one day in my early 20s, I was 21, 22, and I was watching through the Rocky movies for like the first time ever. And I think it was maybe movie 3. I was like, you know what? I want to look like Sylvester Stallone, no big deal, right? And so I went out, and the very next day, and I bought a weight set at a sporting goods store, brought it home, set it up, and just started lifting weights. And I had no clue what in the world I was doing, did every single thing wrong. And so that was kind of what started my journey, even though it was a journey doing everything wrong. That's kind of what got me going in the first place with it all.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think that's kind of, a lot of us start that way, we're just like, man, mine was Arnold. I think probably like every other person or the guy in the world of our age group was, Arnold, this and that, Rocky, these
Right.
those were the guys to be, those were the man's man, like those are the guys that everybody wants to be, like Dwayne Johnson. Those are the guys like, oh my God, yeah, but yeah, yes. We have no idea how to go by it. So we start wrong and just eating, eggs and meat all day. So it's just all the wrong things. So
Absolutely.
So how, what kept changing with you? Like, how did you learn all the changes and stuff that you had to do?
So it was a slow process. I definitely did not learn anything overnight. I would say for the first year, I continued just to do stuff wrong. I was told a lot of really bad information. And I really never took the time that first year to really dive into and research what I was doing. So, my lifting was terrible. I wasn't using proper form. And then my eating was even worse. I had people telling me, well, if you want to bulk up, just eat whatever you want to eat. And I did. I mean, I ate a ton of food. I don't even know how many calories I consumed, but I would drink tons of soda. I would pig out at dinner, eating tons of unhealthy stuff. I'd get done with dinner. I'd eat like a entire half carton of ice cream. Like, it was bad. And it wasn't until I finally came to a point where I realized, hey, nothing's changing. And so I can either quit or I can figure out what in the world I'm doing and really start diving into this more. And so that's what I did. I started, this was kind of, the internet existed, but like I had dial up at the time. And so YouTube wasn't really a big thing. And so I just started reading books and consuming everything I could on fitness. And that's when I started learning about the importance of nutrition. It's when I started learning about things like time under tension and why your form matters more than just how much weight you're lifting. And all that came into play. And that's when I began to see results.
Mm-hmm. And so how old are you when this was going on?
So I started when I was, like I said, 21, 22. I'm 34 now.
Okay.
I would say the real transformation came probably 2 to 3 years in. So that first year, I kind of discount as a complete wash because I really didn't know what I was doing and didn't even try. So it wasn't until those next 2 years after I started that I really began to see the change and start to build upon that.
Yeah. And then that right there shows us how, like, consistency, that's the key. You know,
Absolutely.
doing, repeating, and and learning. Because like you said, you did a lot of reading, you did a lot of research. That it's not just. It was a perfect way you said it. It's not just that you're lifting this weight; it's how you're lifting it. It's your form, so you don't blow out a disc or have even something else happen to you. It's all that. So researching, eating, all those things come into play so much. So
Absolutely.
how about now? Like, do you have any struggles that you're dealing with now, and how have you been dealing with those?
Yeah, I would say my biggest struggle now is time.
Yeah.
I work a full-time job. I do fitness on the side. I've got 2 young kids. My wife um, runs her own business and also does media production. So our lives are pretty busy. Our kids are 6 and 2, so they're at a very uh,
Yeah.
time demanding age. So I would say the biggest struggle is just still making sure that my health is a priority amidst all that. Because when it is, I'm able to give so much more to my family and to my work and all that because I'm coming from a place of being taken care of, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So how do you do that then? Like, give us an example. How do you make time? Like, give us run us through a day.
So my day starts pretty early. I get up at about 3:45, and the first hour of my day is just kind of like me time. I spend time. I'll usually read some self-development books along with some business books, and then I'll spend some time doing like guided meditation. I have like an app on my phone, and I just feel like that sets my day off right. Like I'm ready to go. Then it's work. I'm at work by 6, and then I get off at 2, and I come straight home. I have my own gym at the house, and so I work out at home, and then I go pick up the kids,
Mhm.
and then the rest of the day is spent. Well, I'd say the next couple hours are usually spent working on my fitness business, then dinner, and then time with the family. And that's kind of a rundown of a very typical day.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, and see, those shows you have that structure, you have that balance of the things you need to do, and of course, stuff comes up for all of us here and
Oh,
there. We
absolutely.
just adjust. So how does your eating come into play with that such a busy schedule? How do you keep yourself fueled?
Food prep.
There you go. I'm so
I
happy you said
wouldn't.
that.
Yeah, I would not be able to do it without food prep. Saturday, well, usually Saturday, my wife and I go and do grocery shopping together, and then Sunday we will meal prep. So we'll do all of the lunches and all of the dinners for the entire week. The only thing we don't prep is breakfast because that's pretty simple to make each morning. But so literally when we start the week off, everything's ready to go. We don't have to think about what we're eating. Everything's laid out. Everything's prepped. We just grab it. I throw stuff in my lunchbox and leave. And then dinner's kind of the same way. We just throw something in the oven, warm it up, and we're good to go. So without food prep, there's no way we'd have time to stay on track with our eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's that saying I love to say is, you fail to prep, you prep to fail. So,
Absolutely.
if you don't do it, then there you go. That's the reason why. Absolutely. And I always have to give these guys a shout out because they're a local meal prep, and it's 212 meal prep. They're local here to Charlotte. So sorry, everybody hears me say it, and they're always like, "Dude, stop rubbing it in our faces." But if it wasn't for those guys having busy schedules like yours is, and you have a family, you got 2 kids, man, that makes life so much easier. That
Yeah.
it's nice. So I don't have to spend my Sundays anymore doing that. But
Right, right.
again, when I didn't have that, absolutely, Sundays were for meal prepping. And
Yeah.
yeah, nobody really wants to do it usually because it is work.
It
But
is. Yeah.
it's for your own good. So
For sure. And I think a lot of the way is the way you approach it. Like
mm,
for my wife and I, we'll put a movie on for the kids, and we'll go in the kitchen and we'll play some music and maybe
Hmm.
have a drink and like just kind of enjoy it. We'll talk to each other. So we try to make it, a fun experience rather than just, oh, this is a pain in the butt. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
push it as well, I think.
That's smart. That's a really good way to do it. Yeah, it's more time for you guys to do something together. Absolutely.
For sure.
Very nice. Yeah. So when things do start happening where, let's say, it does get super busy, or you go out, you went to sleep a little bit later than normal, and then you have that struggle of waking up at 3-ish, what do you do to fight away those negative thoughts?
So that definitely does happen. Just yesterday, I didn't get up at 3:45. I ended up getting up just enough time to basically get ready and go to work, and I missed my morning time.
Hmm.
And I think just allowing yourself that grace, you said it earlier, life happens. I mean, and it could be something with the kids where we're up later. Like last night, for example, we had a parent teacher conference, and by the time we got home, and so things were, went late, and just things like that happen. And allowing yourself that grace and realizing, every day is not going to be perfect. It's just
Hmm.
not. But it's as long as we're still making some forward progress and recognizing, like, you know what, I didn't do it today, but that's all right. I've got tomorrow, and the rest of the day is still going to be good. So just kind of approaching it, like not letting it just completely derail your day, but just adjusting and shifting and going forward.
Absolutely. And that definitely will impact your progress in a good way,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it is so right. We don't want to use it as an excuse either to then be like, well, you know what, it's only one more day, whatever. Because
Right,
then you
right.
start getting that laziness type thing.
Yeah,
It's
that,
like,
that that can go down a dangerous path.
exactly, exactly. So it's definitely staying in track, like you said, with the overall progress and the overall goals. And then but that's absolutely true. It's like not beat ourselves up over like the entire day, because we know overall we're doing good. So
Right, right.
that's a great point. So thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what about what do you have when, because I know you say you do your fitness business on the side. So do you have like a favorite inspirational moment or transformation that you want to share?
For someone that I've worked with, you mean?
Yeah,
I do. I mean, it's hard to pick out one. I love
absolutely
when
is.
someone sends me just a private message and it's like, "Hey, I'm up, 15 or 20 pounds or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and I know the work's on me, but I wouldn't know what to do without, your videos or your podcast." And that makes it all worth it to me because I mean, with anything, even if it's work you love, there's the days when you get discouraged. You're like, is anybody listening? Does anybody care? And so just getting those responses is
Absolutely.
so motivational to me to keep going and be like, wow, like because I know what fitness has done for me. I mean, it changed me not just physically, but my mental state. Like I'm a completely different person because of where fitness took me.
Mhm.
And so I know how drastic a change that can be in somebody's life. And so it I think just the biggest thing is knowing that there's some people out there who I'm helping, basically giving them the knowledge so that they can go change their life. That's just
Yeah,
that's all the motivation I need.
absolutely. And I think the fact that where we came from to where we are now, we appreciate so much more those small wins, and those and overcoming those obstacles that to some people that may have never had dealt with it, they
Right.
may not, like, they would still be happy, of course, but I think it kind of triggers us in a different way because we've literally been in their shoes, so we understand.
Yes.
And then hearing someone say, oh my gosh, I packed my meals and I ate good today. To someone that didn't struggle with that, they'd be like, okay, yeah, great, good job. Now, keep working at it. But then
Right.
to us that we know, like, yeah, that's a big step, then
It
it means
is.
so much because we know we have broken that behavioral pattern that they had that they weren't able to overcome. And
Absolutely.
that was the one thing we were able to do. That's enough. Yeah. So
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure.
I know that feeling is, unless you've been there and you've understood it, you don't really understand how you're supposed to feel with it. So that's really, really good, man. And that's great that you're doing those things for the people that you work with, because it does mean a lot, and it just pushes them, and it pushes us too to continue to do what we're doing to be even better and to continue to, to push past our barriers that we feel we might
Absolutely.
have.
Yeah, it's a big aid to my own personal fitness journey, because when I see others working hard, it makes me want to work hard, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of a give and take, so to speak.
It's true, because we see them, we're like, oh man, I gotta step up my game,
Right, right.
I gotta move a little bit better here. Yeah.
Because you can get to a place where when you've been doing it for so long, where you kind of get comfortable and just kind of cruise and don't necessarily push yourself as much as you should. And so it can help give you that little extra push, like, hey, I still need to be improving and getting better and pushing myself. So
Definitely, yeah. So I think I probably know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. That way you can tell us. So what is your motivation? Like, what is your why for doing what you do, and just getting up as early as you do and just going at it every day?
I think it's multifold. So just that, again, I know what fitness has done for me, and I know that I'm a better person. I'm a better person to be around when I'm developing myself both mentally and physically. And, I think being stagnant is just the worst thing that any of us can be. And whether it's just tiny baby steps forward, that's still forward progress. It's still developing and changing ourselves. And then another aspect of, I want to set a great example for my kids. It's sad, the levels of diabetes that's popping up in kids young ages, and
Yeah.
I get it, because it's hard. Like, I see they're constantly inundated with candy and just tons of bad stuff, and so I want to help instill in them like healthy habits. And this is why we have a lot of conversations with our 6-year-old, and she asks questions. She'll be like, is this healthy, and we don't make her get into fitness and health, but because she sees us do it as her parents, she's naturally curious about it and asks questions. So that's really cool to see that as well.
That is, and the fact is that you guys are leading by example. So you're completely changing that environment for your kids. So
Yes.
the environment that we grow up in and are raised in has so much to do with how we continue to live our lives forward.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
if you're not, you know, letting them have all these added sugars of foods and drinks and sugar drinks and all this stuff, and you're teaching them the correct way from the beginning, then that's all they'll learn and all they'll know, and they're understanding why, which is the biggest part of it. So, changing their environment, you've completely changed where their where their lives will head from here forward, if they choose to follow it, because of course then everyone has their own choice, but
Sure.
you're instilling that, and just by doing it by example, that is a huge plus for them.
Yeah, they're always watching. It's kind of scary how
They
much they're
are. And yeah, and I mean, my motivation is my nephews, Jared and Jaden. They're in Florida, very young kids, and like I told you earlier before we started the recording, they listen to it. So they it's good that they understand too how things work, and how they could make changes as long as they want to put their mind to it. So definitely, it's a great motivation to have for your kids. And then again, they're, like you said, your kids are 6 and 2, so when they're teenagers, you want to make sure you're able to keep up with them, and that you're able
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. I want to be around for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's the way to do it. So you're
Sure.
doing good stuff. Yeah. So, okay, so which are those books that you said that you're reading for, like you said you read some like uh self-help reads and meditation and anything like that, like any one of those that you want to share that may help someone that's listening that needs help with that?
Sure. So there's so many.
Yeah, I
um,
know.
there's one I read recently was I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bear Grylls. He has like a
Oh my God,
wilderness
yeah.
survival show.
Absolutely.
But he has a book called Mud, Sweat, and Tears. It's kind of his own personal story, and man, just the guy has been through so much stuff, has overcome so much that I never knew, and so that was a really encouraging book because it made you realize, that's someone that initially I just saw like, oh, he's got this successful show and all that, but seeing where he came from and what he had to overcome to get there was encouraging, because it's like, these people don't have these perfect lives. We think that,
Absolutely.
these success stories or these people who are in great shape, it just happens overnight or they're born with it. And it's not, it's a struggle for everybody. So that was a really encouraging read for me.
Yeah. Awesome. And then which is the meditation app you said that you use?
I use oh man, let me check, make sure I get the name right. It is Simple Habit.
Okay.
And it's a free app. They do have like a premium version. I don't have that, so I don't know what's on that. But there's a ton of good stuff on the free version, and it's quick things. It's like 5 to 7 minutes, and it kind of got, because if I just sit there and try to like meditate on my own, my mind's gonna be wandering like
It'll keep
crazy. So it
wandering.
just
Yeah.
yeah. So it's not a lot of talking, but it's just enough to kind of direct your thoughts a little bit. And I find that I'm just more in tune with myself, because it's causing me to like slow down, because I'm a very task oriented person. I jump from one thing to the next very quickly. So it helps me to slow down and be like, okay, how am I feeling this morning? Like, let's take a minute just to evaluate Bryan this morning. So it's I found it really helpful in that.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm gonna check that one out, because what I've been doing that's been helping me a lot is, and we talked about it on one of the previous episodes, is journaling. So I've been writing down a few things, and my friend Leslie does this. Is she's like, 3 things you're grateful for first thing in the morning when you wake up, and
Yes.
it resets your mindset. Kind of like how what you do, where you kind of do just some meditation in the morning, and just kind of gets you in a positive mindset
It
to just
does.
kind of take on the day, and it's true, it does work. At first, I was like, I don't know how that's gonna really make my day better, but it's just because you turn your mindset to positiveness right from the get go. So you just
Right.
get up and go, and that's it. You kind of set that tone for how you want the rest of your day to go. So that's been helping me with the journaling. And then at the nighttime, at least half hour before bed, is like no electronics, nothing whatsoever, and just kind of letting my mind rest and slow down.
Yeah,
So,
that's important too. Having just kind of like exactly like you said, disconnecting like 30 minutes before bed, because
yeah,
it
yeah,
definitely helps.
yeah, it does. So it's, things like that, that whoever's listening and needs ideas, pointers, Bryan, as you've heard in this podcast, has a lot of knowledge and a lot of information to share. So, or myself, shoot us a message on Instagram. Where that's what we're here for, to help and just give little steps. So how can
Absolutely.
people find you, Bryan? Like, I know you said you have your podcast, you have your fitness page, your Instagram handle, and Facebook. So can you share those with us so that people know how to reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on pretty much everything at Bones to Bulk. Bones2bulk.com pretty much has access and links to everything you could ever want. So the podcast is on there as well. My training programs, everything. So yeah, bones2bulk.com is probably your best bet.
Awesome. Perfect. Cool. And they can check it out there. And then, yeah, sign up, guys. Check him out. See what he has to offer. He does really good workouts. I've been watching them and stuff. And I'm going to plan a trip to go to Georgia, and we can get in a workout, and he can put me through the ringer and see
Sounds good.
what we have to do. Yeah. So one last thing I want to ask you is, what message would you want to send out to anyone that's listening right now?
Just start where you're at. I know it can be overwhelming when you're starting off, or even when you're slightly into the journey, thinking, man, I still have so far to go. But like, celebrate the small victories, because it's the combination of all the small things that are the big thing. We look at the goal as just like, well, that's the goal and it's just so far away, but it's the steps that you take today, what you can control today, that's going to ultimately get you there.
Hmm. That's good. Celebrate the small victories. Love that.
Yes.
I love that, man. That should be your motto.
Yes.
I like that a lot. That's really good. It's true, because that happens way too much. We don't see the small progresses that we make. Where sometimes
Yeah.
people just focus on the end, and that's it. They don't focus on the journey, the now. They don't look and say, "Man, yeah, I've actually done really good. Sure, I'm not where I want to be, but look how far I've come." and we not every single person, but a lot of people do that. They don't look at that. They just look at what the end goal is, and that's it, which is
Yes,
good, but it has to be balanced.
it does.
You have to
Absolutely.
balance that out, and because if you don't balance it out, you're kind of going to miss the whole point. You're not going to have fun with it. You're going to get frustrated because you're not where you want to be yet, but then you oversee how far you've come already. So it's
Right.
really good. So everyone, celebrate the small victories.
Yes.
Don't let yourself feel bad about things that happen. Let life happen and just adjust to it. Research, that's the big key of it. Eating is a big key of it. Focus on making time for you and your family. Read something, meditate, and again, like we said, reach out to either of us. Anyone that's been on the show is a great wealth of knowledge in their field. So whatever you guys need, that's what we're here for. And Bryan, I really, really appreciate you being on the show today, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor.
Oh man, it's my pleasure, and I look forward to doing more things with you, man. So everyone that's listening, I hope you guys really enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more things to come. Thanks again, Bryan, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.
Thanks for checking out Fit Talk with Coach Luis. Remember to follow us on social media, on Instagram at Live2Progress and on Twitter at Live2Progress. Stay tuned for more episodes of Fit Talk with Coach Luis coming soon. And remember, always live to progress.